Aloha, my name is John Oliver, and I am the Service Area Administrator for the Department of Health's Behavioral Health Administration here for Maui County. Before you decide whether or not you want to return, as far as to go into the reentry and to the zone that you're in to see your home and property, I think there's some things to really consider. That first is to consider grief. And so, grief is a common response that everyone has to disaster. And people have different stages of kind of coping with that grief and where they are in that process. It generally, experts would say that it starts with like shock and denial, and then to bargaining, to anger, and to depression potentially, and then finally to acceptance. And so it's important to really check your emotions and see where you are with that, and to be vigilant about that, and wherever you are to in that process to really get support if you plan to go in there. So I think being as prepared as you can mentally, but then also physically, to actually have support there with you at the site, because you don't know how you might respond when you see something like that. It's a truly very difficult thing to do. It's been a difficult journey, I guess, for me as well as for my ohana with what's happened in Lāhainā. I first wasn't one to share as far as the fact that our ohana, we lost our condo at Ainanalu right off of Wainea Street that actually burned down in the fire. And so, I think that for me personally, that was very life-changing, as well as for my family. But different emotions that run through you when something like this happens is, I think you feel shock. I think you're just in denial a little bit, and you just don't want to face what's happening. But I think that it's important to recognize those emotions, but also to reach out and as far as for support. So in my work with Department of Health, we work a lot with FEMA and some of the first responding crew that was there coming in shortly after the fires ended. And I believe it was within probably about a little after 1 week that I was able to drive in there to drive by the site with some FEMA workers. And I can tell you that from firsthand, it was a lot more difficult than I had really anticipated. So I had imagined it in my mind. Everyone says it's like a war zone, and they tell you different things to think about. And so, but I still find a hard time really kind of finding words for it, but it's not like what I imagined. And so, I just have in my mind, I see the trees, I see the beautiful flowers, I see the building, and I see people smiling and laughing. And then when you go over there and you drive there, what you instead see is you can't even recognize it's where you were before. So it's hard to accept that, and it's hard to really see that. And I think there's some things that I think that it does help as far as to process what happened, but it's definitely not closure. I would say it doesn't. People say that you'll feel closure, and I don't feel closure from that, but I feel at least an understanding, and it helps me to process what happened and to see it. But I encourage everyone to really sort of think about what they're going to experience when they see that. And everyone will experience it differently, and the reactions that you'll have. And it's important to just have people around there that you love and that will support you, and that will really kind of hold you up as you see something that is unimaginable and probably one of the most difficult things you'll ever look at. I think it's really important as far as to think about coping skills and strategies to use when either you're experiencing grief or isolation or feelings of despair, as well as maybe you witness it with your loved ones who are experiencing it. And so I think it's really important that if you are a caregiver and you're with somebody, if you start to notice different things, such as if they become more isolated, if they start to become aggressive when they're usually easy, kind of go lucky, if you start to see a change in their behavior, it's important to really monitor that and to acknowledge it's happening, and not to dismiss it, and to seek support for it. So it's been proven that earlier intervention for someone, if they do have, say, post-traumatic stress disorder, or they have trauma incidents, is to really talk early about it, and to really sort of to work on it. The tendency for many is to isolate after something like this happens, and oftentimes that's because they either are embarrassed by their reaction, or they just feel like no one understands. And so I think that it's a natural tendency to do that. And retreat, but I think it's equally as important as a loved one or a friend or someone you really care about is to keep trying to reach them. And, I think that even just that attention is something they will come to expect, even if they don't take it the first, second, or third time, but just to keep trying. I mean, we don't quit here. And so, and really, I guess the only way that is to get over something is to go through it. And so is to really help them and through it, and to help yourself as well. So I definitely, we've had many people call us as far as for counseling, and from all parts of the island. And so I want to stress that too, that this happened in Lāhainā as well as upcountry, and that it truly impacts our whole ohana here. And so, to remember about loved ones that are different parts of the island, and to really sort of, everyone should be hyper vigilant at this point, and just really focus on just how everybody's doing, and showing aloha, and just trying to be over involved, and just try to, you can't give anyone too much love. So I'd say just to really keep doing that, and to keep supporting our ohana as we always do here on Maui. After you come back from going into the zone and seeing this, I think it's really important to think about what you're going to do to support yourself. And I highly recommend, as far as giving yourself time and giving yourself grace, but giving yourself really time to process it. I would definitely not plan to go to work right afterwards. I would not plan to go somewhere in public and go out to dinner. Honestly, I really recommend that you take time to mourn, because what you just saw is the reality of what you had known to what it is now. And hopefully that will later become what it will be in the future. But for now, when you see that the first time, I think it's really important just to take that time. And if you are very conflicted with your emotions and you feel very overwhelmed, is also to reach out for help. There's trusted counselors that are out there to support you. There's family members, there's community members. There's lots of people that want to help. You just have to let them in, and you just have to reach out and tell them that you need support. And, I can tell you that it's super important that you really stay alert to that, and that you do reach out as soon as you start to feel any kind of feelings of isolation or despair, or start to question sort of what you're doing here. It's just very, very important to reach out. At the Lāhainā Comprehensive Health Center, we have many resources available, and I definitely encourage each and every one of you to reach out to us if you feel that you are having conflicting emotions, or you're feeling isolated or anxious. We can help, as far as we have trusted local individuals that can talk story, that are able to really do trauma processing, grief counseling, as well as just look at what resources are available out there that you may need. So resource guidance for many, you're in a situation now you never imagined being in before. And so knowing what's available in our county, as far as you receive federal assistance, but what's available locally, what's available state, there's many resources available, and there's many trusted individuals in our community that are here and ready to help.